Welcome to IROC Business With Confidence, the podcast where passion meets profit without the pressure of a big price tag. I'm your host, Corey Fonville Foster, transformational speaker, certified business coach, trainer, and the CEO behind the mic. In every episode, we dive deep into the heart of entrepreneurship, bringing you stories, strategies, and tips to monetize your passions while maintaining your budget. Whether you're a budding entrepreneur or looking to scale up, this is your go-to resource for affordable sales and marketing strategies. Join us as we interview small business experts from around the globe, sharing their journeys, challenges, and the solutions that propelled them to success. IROC Business with Confidence podcast is here to demystify the process of running a successful business on a budget. Get ready to transform your entrepreneurial dreams into reality, one episode at a time. Hello, and welcome back. I am Corey Fonville Foster, the host of IROC Business with Confidence podcast. And I know I always say I'm excited for the guest of the week, but I really am excited today because for those of you who don't know, I'm not only an entrepreneur, I'm also a mom, I'm also a wife, I'm also a homeschooling mom as well. And so I find that it's hard to sometimes connect with other entrepreneurs if they aren't moms. And today I don't have to worry about that because we have a mom entrepreneur expert joining us, Miss Eva Rado. Eva began her working life in the corporate world and soon realized that her heart yearned to be its own boss. With over 23 years building, growing, working in and for small businesses, Eva has written all the ways of entrepreneurship while also enjoying family life as a wife and mom of two gorgeous girls. Having experienced the overwhelm of managing everything in the family home as a mom, and then also trying to run her own business, Eva now supports business owners to make household management a whole household responsibility so that one single person isn't left carrying the full load, thus freeing time, energy, and headspace to focus on business growth and income. Welcome, Eva. Hi.
Good morning. Oh, good morning here. Hello. How are you?
Yes, I'm so excited. We kind of chatted before we started this recording, and I was like, "Where are you from?" And she was like, "Australia." I'm so jealous. Like, I've always wanted to visit. Like, how is the weather there?
It's summer here, but I live in Melbourne and it fluctuates. So, we've had storms this week. I've had jumpers on, and then we've had, really hot, humid weather as well, just the next day. So, yeah.
Okay, well, look, I'm in Virginia. It sounds like the same weather. So look, on the other side of the world, we're having the same weather. Well, I know I gave you a little bit of an intro, but I wanted you to at least share a little bit about your journey into entrepreneurship and kind of who you serve and what your company's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Corey. So, as you said, I started off in corporate as an engineer of all things, and after a few years of that, realised that it was not. It didn't match with my idea of what I wanted to be as a mum. I wanted to be able to be at home with my kids. So, while I didn't yet have children, I stopped that work and started working from home in my own business. And once we had children, as the stay-at-home parent, albeit I was running a business, I found that I was, everything defaulted to me. Not only was I on maternity leave at home, but because I had the business at home, I didn't really get to have that break time. And then as the kids got older and I delved further back into business, things reverted back for everybody else, but I was still left carrying the load because I was the one at home and everyone had gotten into the habit of mum's at home, she can do the washing, she can do the cooking, she can do the cleaning, and it was like forgotten that I also had a business that needed my attention. Excuse me.
I think you really hit the nail on the head saying that, though, because people think because you work from home that you have just unlimited time. And I have to tell my husband, like, I'm running 3 jobs. I'm homeschooling, that's 1 job. I'm a teacher. I said I'm running a business, that's 2. And then household management is a whole nother job. That's why people hire maids and cooks and all the things. So
100%.
You said, yeah. So when you realize that you know all these things were falling on you, what did you do?
So before what did I do to start with? Actually, I realized that it needed to change. And so I reverted to what so many mums do in asking for help. So as the kids were growing up and getting old enough to be able to take on what we call chores, and it's a word I've banned actually. But I'd have those conversations where I'd sit the family down and go, listen, I can't do it all. You're old enough to pull your weight. I need your help. We're going to create a system. Here's a pretty chore chart. You're going to earn stickers. I'd set it all up and delegate it. Only to find that really instead of being slave mum, I'd turn myself into police mum. Because nobody wants to do a chore, Corey. That's why we call them chores. And as mums, we veil it in this idea of we're teaching them some responsibility, but they're not stupid. They're pretty savvy, our kids. They know that we're giving them the things that we don't want to do. So if we don't want to do it, and it's called a chore, which even sounds really very it's just an unhappy word, isn't it? Like, why would they want to do it? And so I found myself, having to police it and having to, remind them. And it was still in my headspace. So I was still carrying it all, and I ended up in burnout. And that's when I realized that these are just Band-Aid fixes. They don't actually solve the problem of me having, as you said, 3 jobs in effect. I'm raising the children, I'm running the household, and I'm working on a business. So that was basically my journey of how I came to realize that there's more to it than just, delegating and sticker charts and yes.
Yeah, I think people are going to listen to this and have to take some time to think about how they frame their household. Because as you were talking, I was like, yep, you can't even see it, but I have a chore chart here. It's laminated. We have roles, we mark it off. I have my stickers in my drawer. I have my little reward system. I'm like, what can we do? But you're right. I'm always the person managing it. I'm always the one who has to think of what still needs to be done. And yeah, I'm exhausted. That burnout is real. And so I guess when you're working with, especially mom entrepreneurs, what are some of the key challenges? I know there are probably some that come up over and over again, but what are some of the key challenges that they're facing that may be leading them to burnout, or maybe even burnout is one of those challenges? Like, what are they facing, and like, how do you help them overcome those issues?
Absolutely. So it is very common. What I see from my clients is the same thing that I went through, or very similar. And you're right, it just keeps coming up. It is really the way that we were raised. So as females, there's this preconditioned societal gender bias that it is up to us, and it is just part of the journey of becoming a mum that we end up staying at home. We become the she-fault parent. And then when we decide to go back to work, so many of us choose to do that in the home and run our own business, whether we were doing it before or decide as we come out of maternity leave, we still want to be around for the children. And so we have this idea, this expectation, often subconscious, that it is still up to us. We're the carers. We're responsible for making sure that the house is clean and tidy, and there's clothes for everyone to wear, and the food is nutritious, and the children are getting to their activities, and their doctor's appointments are booked. And there's that dichotomy of, because we actually work also in the home, there isn't that divide. So we don't get to go out to a job and leave all of that and not be physically present. And so then we expect of ourselves subconsciously, but also the whole family, well, mum's at home, like we said just before, mum's at home. So they don't have to step up and think about things in advance. So we get things dumped on us, as you're driving, the kids to school or to an appointment, and then they're like, oh, Mum, tomorrow's, fairy day and I need a new pair of wings. And so do we go home and sit down and work on our business? No, we run via the shop to find the exact gold glittered sparkly wings that she particularly wants, because we think it's our job to just be there and make them happy. So there are three parts to the work that I do. One is the mindset, Mum's mindset, and her own expectations, both of herself and of her family. Because the answer often is that we ask them to help us, but help in my world is a 4-letter word. All it does is imply that it's still my job. And worse than that, I can't do that job well enough if I need your support. And in the tone in which we ask for it, it's really like it's a desperation. And so the first is the mindset and letting go of that. The second is the system, because while we keep it all in our heads, even if the charts that we delegate, the remembering, has little Johnny done his chore and got his sticker, and asking at the end of the day, did you wipe down the kitchen sink today? Go put a sticker on your chart. We need a system where it's not up to us to keep it in our heads, and that anybody in the household can actually take it on. And the relief my clients have when they walk up to the visual of that system and see things already marked off, and no one's mentioned and said, oh, I washed the dishes for you, I folded the washing for you, right? Like, to get to that place is a relief and a letting go. And the third thing is how to onboard the family, because we've all had those conversations, and you said it yourself, Corey, where you've created the system, you've explained the system, you've put up the chart, you've got your stickers, you're giving the rewards, but they've had no real buy-in. So how can we expect them to really be on board? So I talk about beyond delegation, there is collaboration. And so I teach collaborative communication, where the house becomes a place of collaboration, but we operate from a space of consideration and curiosity for what is important for each member of the household.
Wow, that was a lot. And I think there were so many just great nuggets in there. It's funny because when you said help is a 4-letter word, I was like, me and my husband had that conversation. I said, stop saying you're going to help me. Like, these are this is our house. These are our things. This is our laundry, our dishes, and it's
correct.
Things. It's not just because I am the main person here doesn't mean that if I don't do it, you're nice enough, right? They're nice enough to wash a dish or fold a piece of clothing. They've helped us out. It's like, it didn't help me. that had to be done for us. So I love that you're changing that narrative, because I think society does make it seem like, one, because we're women, it's our job, but also because a lot of us, like you said, work from home. Now it's like, when you're home, why can't you do it? It's like, because I'm also working. That's why.
Correct.
And I find myself still to this day in between meetings, running downstairs, like throwing in laundry, making sure that people have food to eat. Like, I'm always running, letting the dogs out, bring them back in. And then I've even had real conversations with my husband on here, this podcast, and I said, can we hire a maid? And he's like, well, I don't know why we would need one. What do you mean? Yeah. What do you mean? I don't get why you can't do it. I'm like, well, why can't you help me? Well, there's a help word again. So it's crazy how I think people don't understand, people outside of being moms and wives sometimes don't understand what it all takes to run a household. It's almost like running a business. There are so many components, and when they think that they just have to do their little tasks, and like you said, they don't have the buy-in to the whole family needs to run smoothly, it is hard. But I do want to talk more about, you kind of mentioned this idea of collaborative communication. I get that what that means in a business sense, but what does that mean when you're talking to kids and husbands, when you have to say, okay, this is our thing? So can you give us some examples of what maybe collaborative communication would look like as you onboard your family?
Yeah, 100%. And it's interesting that you said about the balance, like the how business is like running a house, managing a household is like a business. And I talk about that. So, in our business, we are CEOs, but at home, we're still the micromanager. And so, so this collaborative communication, it's really about, if you think about curiosity, so 100% it is about taking a stance of being curious. So as mums, and it's part of, again, our conditioning, we know what's best. We've been doing this for so long. We've been running the household. We've worked out the best way to get the washing machine to do its job. We know, that this is the best place to put this pot. And when you put it in the other drawer, it just mucks me up. And so what I encourage people to do, what I encourage mums to do, is to take a step back and look at it from a space of curiosity. It is a household where there are more than just you living. You're not the only one using the kitchen and that drawer and that pot. So in our household, there are 4 of us, and I say all the time, there are 4 of us that are making the clothes dirty. There are 4 of us eating the food. There are 4 of us dumping the things on the coffee table. There are 4 of us, creating the dust and the dirt. And, so it's important that all 4 of us are responsible for making sure the household is safe and comfortable for all 4 of us. So from further to that idea of curiosity, I am encourage my clients to really think about what works for me may not work for other people. In the household, we've all got different expectations. We're at different stages of our own development, our own interests. We've got different ideas on how things will work or won't work. And so from that standpoint, I actually have an acronym that I teach, which is WHY, W-H-Y, so the word why, R. And it's really just remembering, what is and isn't working. So start with a conversation of instead of coming at it as we often do as mums and saying, I need your help, I can't do it all myself, but instead to actually just say, I just wanted to have a conversation with you guys because at the moment, the way that the dishes are being put away isn't working for me. And this is why it isn't working for me. So what isn't working? How is that impacting yourself, but also them and from their perspective? So, the impact then is that, when I go to try and, when I'm in a hurry to cook dinner and I can't find the pot that I need, because I expect it to be in a certain place, I get frustrated. And that means that I don't have the energy when you come downstairs in the middle of my cooking dinner to say, Mum, can you help me with this science question? I'm frustrated because it's all taking me longer than it should, and I want to be available for you. So that's how it's impacting. Why is the word yes. We need to get agreement. And so coming down from on high as mum and saying, so the pot has to go in that drawer and that's just how it has to be, it hasn't worked up until now. So the onboarding really is about, so this is why it's not working for me. Can you explain to me, coming back to the curiosity, why you keep putting it over there? What is it about it being over there that works for you? Can we come up with some solution, some understanding, some way of doing it that will work for both of us? And then R is to review, because anytime you make any kind of change to any system or any process, it's really important that you then trial it. So you can all come up with suggestions and ideas and think that's going to work. But then in the actual running it and doing it, it doesn't actually work for one person. And if you don't set a time to come and review that and assess it and readjust it and tweak it so that it works better for everybody, then there ends up being again the frustration and it turns back into a whole, as the situation that we have right now, where it's, delegation, someone else's responsibility, nobody's helping anyone else. And we really just want to be collaborative and considerate of each other.
I love the acronym because I was listening And I was like, okay, I'm doing that first step. I'm doing the second step. And I was like, this is still not working. And you got to that R. And I was like, yeah, because what happens is I have it's like a business meeting. I'll sit the family down and talk. We'll strategize. We'll, work it out. And then when they don't do it, I go right to default, like, you know what, I'll do it myself because I'm upset. I skipped that review part all the way, and I'm just like, nope. See, I knew it wasn't gonna work. They don't listen. Now I'm drill sergeant mom, and I'm just yelling around like, why won't anybody do stuff? And I do something called divorcing family from pieces of things. I'm like, okay, well, now you have to do your own laundry, and now you have to do this. Like, I'm no longer gonna do this part. Me and my husband had a colorful conversation about one of my appliances recently because I meal prep. And I said to him, look, if you're going to use it, when I need to use it, I need it clean. And I kept reminding him, and he didn't do it. I said, you know what, friend? You can't use it anymore. And it was a big thing in our household because he's like, really, an appliance? But it was like, I told you, and you kept doing it, and it doesn't work for me. But I love how you broke it down because I realized I skipped some pieces. I didn't really have buy-in for him of why we were having the issue. I was just like, this is how it should be. And then once I saw that what I said didn't work, I was like, okay, no more. But I never went back to review it. And that's probably why we had that colorful conversation about that appliance of all things. And so I think that the system you have really makes sense of really thinking about the family as a whole, like this whole ship. We all have our parts, but we do it for a reason. Because even when we have children, we know that telling them no sometimes isn't enough. We have to tell them why, right? Why is this important? So I love the idea of getting their input because maybe, the coffee machine has to be on at a certain time because it makes sense for your husband, but you're just like, well, why is it on? I want it off. So I love that. But I do want to ask you, because you mentioned like everything doesn't work for everyone, because I was thinking, well, some people have babies. They're at a different season of life. Some people have teenagers. Right. And anybody who's had teenagers knows that's a whole voyage on its own. So are there different techniques for different, ages of family members and different maybe temperaments of individuals?
So it's not necessarily a different technique, but I love this question, Corey, because people think that if you set up the household management in however you set it up, if we solve this whole problem so that it's not all on me and I can share the load, that's a once and done thing. But the reality is that households are changing all of the time. The kids are growing up, they're learning new things. Then they become teenagers and they have part-time jobs, they have exams, they have other responsibilities. Our work changes in different times of the year or seasons, or our husbands change, our understanding of the world changes, outside stresses, those of us who've got older parents who then have to, take that on as well. So it's not a different technique, but it's about coming back and reviewing and assessing and taking on an understanding that what worked yesterday may not work today, and it may not work for one person, or it may not work for everybody. And even more than that, what we set up today may not work tomorrow. So it's a constant review. And when the kids are very little, this communication, you're practicing it just with your partner because you're the only two that can manage doing the household tasks. Whereas when the children get that little bit older, we start to engage them in that conversation to the point where when they're tweens and early teens, they are getting more and more of that buy-in. And what I'm finding is really beautiful with my clients who come to me with the children that are a bit younger. Usually they're sort of in that 8, the youngest would be about 8, where when I say the youngest, the oldest in the household will be 8, where mum's starting to get really like, he's not getting it, I can't get him to do his chores, he's not, but the beautiful thing is when they practice this communication style and they incorporate it as their children grow up and go through the teenage years, it gets to a point where the kids come and say, guys, I need to have a conversation because this isn't working for me. And so it's not just mum noticing what's wrong and working to fix it, but it's every member of the household has the opportunity to voice what's not working, which is when things like really run beautifully.
Wow, that sounds like a dream house. I'm like, what? The kids notice something and actually come with some emotional intelligence to say, hey, can we talk about it? Oh goodness, my son is 12, so I think I'm right in the middle. Like, we can have conversations. He has some responsibilities, but he's not yet at a point where he is would come and be like, hey, this doesn't work for my schedule. But we do ask him, like, what can we do, and things of that nature. And I think too, once you've been parenting for a while, you kind of get your flow. And so I like the idea of the review and kind of adjusting. But what advice would you have for a new mom? Because that is its own thing, right? Like you said, you only have your partner to help you. And as a new mom, especially a new mom running a business, that is a whole new world for a lot of people. So what maybe one or two pieces of advice would you give a new mom who's trying to navigate still being a boss lady that she is, but also navigating what it's like to be a whole new mom, especially a first-time new mom?
Absolutely. So first is just don't use the word help. Don't ask your partner to help you, especially in that situation where you're at home with a newborn or a toddler, and running a business, and he's going out working, or your partner's going out of the house working. Do not ask for help, because you're just setting it up, like I said, that it is your job. So start off by having those really collaborative, curiosity in conversations that come from that space of curiosity, so that you really set up from the beginning that the home is everyone's environment to feel safe and comfortable. And yes, you're the one that is home at the moment, and you're the one that is there most of the time. And so you see it most often, and you're supposedly available, but really you're not home to manage the house right now. You're home to be the primary carer, which is a full-time job in itself. And on top of that, you've got a business you're running, which is another full-time job. The other thing that I would encourage new mums in particular to remember is that to keep questioning and be curious in her own perspective of why is she doing the things that she's doing? Who is she doing it for? I'll never forget the light bulb moment I had one day when I was home and I was finished a meeting and I had to do all of the follow-up, but I looked at the clock and I was like, the family's, my husband's picking up the kids from school. They're going to be home in, 20 minutes. And I looked down and the floor was an absolute disgrace. And I stopped my work and I got out the vacuum, and with such anger, I was like, bloody hell, nobody else will vacuum. And then I stopped and I thought to myself, who am I doing this for? I've spent the whole day working on this floor. It hasn't bothered me. They're going to walk in and not even notice it. Who am I doing this for and creating this angst over for? And so as a new mum in particular, I encourage you to just ask yourself constantly, who am I keeping the place perfect for? Who do I need to tidy up for? Does it make me feel more comfortable and safe in my own home? Or is it because I'm doing it because I've got that expectation that the house has to be perfect in case somebody drops in because I've got a new baby and they can't see that I've, left the wipes on the table. And so if you can get into the habit of really assessing why are you doing the things that you're doing and spending your energy and your headspace on them, you as a new mum, it's going to set you right up not to have that rod in your back when they get older and you're, really frustrated with the fact that they're not doing anything. So those would be my two big things.
I love it. And it's so funny because I relate to everything that you say, because it's so funny. Yeah, you sweep that floor, your husband walks in, and it doesn't matter how his day went, you're already upset before they even come. You're like, oh, I just had to clean up. And it's like, yeah, he didn't ask you. And now he's like, why are you upset? And you're like, I had to clean the floor. And it's just a whole thing. But I love that. And we probably could talk for hours. If you're a mom, you totally understand everything that she said today. It's probably spot on, or at least most of it you've probably experienced or will experience if you stay a mom and a wife long enough. But this doesn't have to be the last time that you see Eva. She has a website here. I will put it on the screen. It'll also be on the show notes. You can connect with her through a website. And of course, she is on Facebook, y'all. So check her out. Also, she has a new little freebie that is coming out all about household management. So I'll let her talk a little bit about that, and definitely check the show notes to get your hands on it, because I know I'm waiting. I have some ideas already from all that we talked about. Look, my husband, you guys might have even heard the dog in the background. He just walked in. I'm like, we're going to have a meeting. So tell us a little bit about your household management little freebie that's coming out, and how can they get their hands on it?
Absolutely, Corey. Thank you for that. So the one that I would love to share with your audience is actually one that it's a really easy workbook to work through, and it's called First Steps to Household Management as a Whole Household Responsibility. And most people that I speak to, like you said, it sounds like an ideal household. It sounds magnificent. But as mums in particular, we're like, how, like that's nirvana. How are we even going to get there? Like we have no idea how to even start. So this is a workbook that takes you through a few questions where you can really start to think about how things are in your household, what's most important to you, what's creating the biggest frustration and distracting you from your business first and foremost, and then it guides you through a process where you realize what is going to be the first step for you to start turning the household management into a whole household responsibility.
Wow. Well, I know I want to get my hands on it. So I definitely will be going through it. And definitely, again, guys, don't let this be the last time you hear from Eva. She has so much more information. She works with clients day in and day out. So if you are in the thick of it, right, you have kids, or maybe you're planning to have kids. I think sometimes the best time to get help is before you even get in the situation. So if you have kids that are on the horizon, if you know that you want to work from home as a mom, as a business owner, then go ahead and reach out now, because you want the support, you want the skills, you want the tools in your tool belt. So when situations arise, you are ready and primed to go. You don't want to be in the thick of burnout. You don't want to be stressed and yelling at the top of your lungs, why is no one helping me? You want to have those solutions. So thank you so much for being on this podcast. This was such a fun episode. And guys, remember that we have a new episode that drops every single week where we bring on an amazing expert that's going to tell you how to help implement things in your life and in your business right now to further your entrepreneur journey. Until next time, guys, remember, I rock, you rock, we all rock, and I'll talk to you soon. A wrap on another episode of IROC Business with Confidence podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining our journey into the world of entrepreneurship. If today's episode inspired you or just gave you the tools to tackle your next business challenge, we'd love your support. Please like, share, follow, subscribe, and rate us with a glowing 5 stars. And don't forget to leave us a review. Are you an entrepreneur with a unique perspective, expertise, or actionable strategies that our audience can implement today to advance their entrepreneurial journey? We're always on the lookout for guests who are ready to share their stories and insights. If that's you, please reach out to us. Remember, entrepreneurship isn't just about the destination, it's about the journey. And here at IROC Business with Confidence, we're here to journey with you. Until next time, keep rocking your business with confidence. We can't wait to see where your entrepreneurship journey